Hey y'all, so I got us going here and realized I'm not on the right page, so let's get us on the right page, which was page 80 something and something, right? 87. Okay, here we go. We're at the break. So you're going to see here where it kind of changes and sounds weird. It says everyone in La Paz remembers the return of the family. It almost sounds like the author is talking directly to us again. You've got to remember that this is a parable. It's a story with a lesson. And so at the end, the author is going to talk directly to us, almost like if you were in elementary school and the teacher sat down to you and was starting to say, hey, we're going to read a story today. It's going to have a lesson, and this lesson's about such and such. And then they read the book, and then after said, okay, so we learned this lesson. Sorry, I got other notices coming off. So that's what happens here. It switches back to us because it's the end of the story, and now it's time to think about this lesson. Okay. So I want you to really notice the description here. It changes. It's not this dark shadows, this nighttime anymore. It says everybody remembers the return, and it's a golden afternoon. Okay. And then the boys are running hysterically in the town and spreading word. This really harkens back, brings us back to the idea of when he had found the pearl and everybody was spreading the news. Now he's coming back. Okay. So the sun is golden and the sun is setting. It's settling toward the west. Okay. And the shadows on the ground were long and they saw the deep impression. So we've got the sun and the shadows coming together here. The sun is setting. Okay. This is the ending. It's like the end of the situation, right? And we know that. Okay. The sun was behind them, and their shadows, and their long shadows stalked ahead, and they were carrying two towers of darkness with them. So they've got this darkness now that they're bringing with them, but we've also got the sun going down. So we know that something that this is an ending, but we've got this golden sun too. Okay, so there is a little bit of hope here. And they're carrying a bundle. So I want to focus on this. What had happened? What was the hysterical cry that Juana had? Kino had a rifle. I'm going to show you what I'm reading here. Kino had a rifle across his arms, and Juana carried her shawl like a sack over her shoulder. And in it was a small, limp, heavy bundle. Limp means like laying like this. Okay, no like stiffness. The shawl was crusted with dried blood, and the bundle swayed a little as she walked. Her face was hard and lined and leathery with fatigue or exhaustion, and the tightness with which she fought the fatigue. And her wide eyes stared inward on herself. She was as remote and as removed as heaven. Now, if you remember in the very first chapter, uh, Kino had talked about Juana as though she had the stars in her eyes. And so we've got this reference here again to heaven, which is a Christian reference. This is an allusion. We talked about allusions. Um, and it says heaven here for a reason because of what we see happens next. Kino's lips are thin, his jaws tight, and the people say that he carried fear with him and he was as dangerous as a rising storm. People say that the two seemed to be removed from human experience, that they had gone through pain and had come out on the other side, and that there was almost a magical protection about them. Now, so they've had some kind of big spiritual transformation here. Let's find out why in the next paragraph. Okay. We've got this bundle with them. We know there's dried blood. And we see that the song of the family is fierce, and his song had become a battle cry over here. So, what is the bundle? Right? When we come down here, we find out. And when they came to the water's edge, they stopped and stared out over the gulf. And then Kino laid the rifle down and he dug among his clothes, and then he held the great pearl in his hand. He looked into its surface, and it was gray and it was ulcerous. If you've ever heard of somebody having ulcers, they're very painful. Okay. Evil faces peered from it into his eyes, and he saw the light of burning or hell. And in the surface of the pearl, he saw the frantic eyes of the man in the pool. Remember, he had killed a man, right? And in the surface of the pearl, he saw Coyotito lying in the little cave with the top of his head shot away. I hate the ending of this book. And so he hears the music of the pearl, distorted and insane. And he turns and he holds the pearl out to Juana, and she stands beside him. Okay. And she looked at the pearl and she says, "No, Hugh." And then he draws his arm back and he throws the pearl into the ocean, as Juana had wanted to do that day, or that night, I should say, when he went and he hit her, right? And then he kicked her when she was down. It changed him. Kino and Juana watched it go, winking and glimmering under the setting sun. They saw the little splash in the distance, and they stood side by side watching the place for a long time. And the pearl settled into the lovely green water and dropped toward the bottom. The waving branches of the algae called to it and beckoned to it. So it's going back to where it belongs, right? And the pearl lay on the floor of the sea. A crab scampering over the bottom raised a little cloud of sand. And when it settled, the pearl was gone. And the music of the pearl drifted to a whisper and disappeared. So we have the ending of this story. See if I can find out how to click back to the other slide here. And I want to think about, because we've got the ending of the story. Oopsie. Here we go. So the following action, the trackers are following Kino and his family for the pearl. And the other following action is Kino kills the men following him. I should have put an arrow down that. That comes from chapter 6. We can put that arrow there right now. Should have done it before. Then fixing that problem, right? Let's see if I can draw the arrow down. Are you going to go there, buddy? And then the resolution is that, yes, the pearl no longer has power over him, but his son has died in this process, you know. So these people are changed, right? They have no other choice than to be. They lost their child in the course of this, and that was who they wanted to save all along. Remember when Juana was praying in chapter 2 to find a pearl for money for the doctor, you know? And you think back and you think, you know, how could things have been different? Maybe if the doctor had treated them. You know, we saw the racism there in that situation with the doctor where he treated them like animals. Maybe if he had treated them, this wouldn't have happened, but he didn't. Okay, maybe if the pearl hadn't, Kino was greedy. Maybe if he hadn't been so greedy and just taken the money when he went and they offered him some, but he felt that it wasn't enough and he deserved more. Maybe that has something to do with it. But Kino did all kinds of things that he, I'm sure, regrets at the end. And so that connects to the theme. When we start to think about the theme, we see the situations that Kino faced. Okay, and we can say, if you look over in this right box, that the first bullet, a man can lose all that he truly values if he becomes obsessed with wealth, and that's true. He lost his home, he lost his canoe, he lost his son. Greed corrupts and opens a door to evil. That's true. You know, we saw all of these evil things happening. The trackers were described as evil that followed him. The pearl was described as evil, right? Greed meaning your desire for material things. And what is most valuable in life cannot be purchased at any price. And we see that that's his canoe, you know, his home, his child ultimately. So we can apply these different themes. We can say we learn these things, these general things, based on the situations that Kino faced in the story. Okay. All right, guys, you're going to go and answer the 3 questions. And then next week, we're going to be having a fun day on Tuesday. And then remember, June 10th is the last day to do all of your work. Okay. Ooh, it's Friday. Have a good one, y'all. Now, if I can find my little cursor because it's so bright. All right, there it is.